Chapter 16, in which Princess Kitty returns to Kadono and leaves the children. Well, 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 purred the conductress. Look at all these pigs in my bus. I hope they look fat enough to eat. Don't even think about it, Grandpa Jack said anxiously. How will we ever get these children back to normal? Okay, I get it, purred the conductress. Well, I have no idea how. Any suggestions? Princess Kitty gets an idea and exclaimed,
I have one! Let's feed them snozberries!
Snozberries? Grandpa Jack asked. Who ever heard of a snozberry? The conductress leans close to him and said, The answer lies within your soul, because no one knows which side the coin will fall. Princess Kitty said,
They're the medicinal fruit for my kingdom.
I've heard of your kingdom, all right, purred the conductress. I have an opportunity. What do they do, Kitty? Grandpa Jack asked. Princess Kitty said,
Take one bite, and I'm sure your grandchildren will be back to their normal selves in no time. I bet you like that, wouldn't you?
Oh, yes. Are there any berries in this bus? The conductress pulls out a white case from underneath the driver's seat. The inscription in gold read, Fruit from KAWAII Wonderland. She opened the case and pulls out a huge pink fruit that looks like a strawberry and cut 2 pieces with a knife. She gave the pieces to Princess Kitty.
Remember, Jack, the pigs with the markings mean they're ours,
she said. She looked at the assortment of pigs until she found 2 marks on their foreheads. She knelt down and placed the pieces of cut snozberry into their mouths. They chew it up and swallowed. Good heavens! Grandpa Jack cried suddenly, staring at the pigs. They're changing! Is that so, darling? Purred the conductress. Well, good. That means they're not pigs anymore. Just as she stated, the pigs began to change slowly. Their stomachs became flat. Their ears are no longer floppy, and their hooves became hands and feet. Their hair grew on top of their heads. They're now wearing clothes. They no longer see a snout in front of them. The children, Todd and Audrey, were now back to normal, and Grandpa Jack could have been more happier, not to mention Princess Kitty. Oh, children! He shouted and hugged them both. I'm so glad you 2 are back to normal! We're glad as well, Grandpa, Todd cried. Me too, Audrey squeaked. And you should thank the Princess Kitty for rescuing the both of you from the platter, purred the conductress.
Pratchett's. I hope you 2 forgive me for leaving you while you're in the refuge and before you were transformed,
Princess Kitty said.
If I hadn't...
Oh, Kitty, don't feel pity for us, Todd said. The bottom line is that you make things right by saving us. This has truly been a fantastic quest. But what about the rest of the children? Grandpa Jack looked around. I hope there's enough snozberry to cure them all.
There will be enough,
Princess Kitty said.
I can assure you, Jack.
Hope you get used to them oinking and squealing all day, because I sure wouldn't, the engineer rants. That night, the cat bus speeds through the forest, sensing that home should be near. Grandpa Jack looked out and called out, I can see the buildings in the distance. How quaint, old man, purred the conductress. We've arrived just in time. Finally, the cat bus emerges from the forest and climbs up one of the buildings of Kadono like a monkey before landing on top of the roof. It's as if Kadono remains unchanged while we're gone. Todd even looked out the window with Grandpa Jack. He can see the clock tower in the distance.
Even though we're home, there's still the children we must deal with,
Princess Kitty said, before asking the conductress.
Could the bus take us to some orphanage?
The cat bus nods, and the destination sign read, Orphanage. The cat bus roars and runs again, sprinting on top of roofs, knocking several tiles before leaping off and onto the pavement, speeding past cars and buses and stores. Eventually, he stops at a red brick orphanage with a black roof. Princess Kitty has been giving snozberries to pigs. Soon, like Todd and Audrey, the workhouse children are back to normal, their curse forever undone. The children of Bomvaria, led by Princess Kitty, all stepped out of the bus and onto the red door. She rang the doorbell and fades out of existence. The cat bus fades with her. Out of the red door came an old woman named Miss Plimsoll, the matron of the orphanage, who was just as plump and sweet as a strawberry. Her eyes widened at the sight of the children. "Now where did you dearies come from?" she asked. "We're from Bomvaria, a cruel place," one of the boys explained. "But a girl with pink hair, cat ears, and a tail saved us, and here we are." "How did you get here?" Miss Plimsoll asked. A little girl cried,
"We got off of a cat bus. It's huge with a big smile and big eyes."
"Well, it's late," Miss Plimsoll said. "You all come inside, and I'll deal with the lot of you in the morning, with some toys and some food. You must be famished." On a tree in front of the orphanage, the cat bus and the passengers have been watching. "I'm glad I joined my grandchildren on this quest, Kitty," Grandpa Jack smiled. "Without me, what will become of them? Who knew you'd be showing doubtful now and then? Every cat indeed has her day, eh, Kitty? All's well that ends well."
"Not really,"
Princess Kitty said.
"We have to get home first. Oh, yes. It wouldn't be much happier if you and your grandchildren are finally safe in your own home."
The destination sign on the cat bus read, Pratchett House. The cat bus roars and he's off, away from the orphanage. The Pratchetts have never been happier when the cat bus stopped at their house. "This is your home, is it not?" purred the conductress. "Of course it is, Miss Cat," Grandpa Jack said. "The rest of the grandparents will see me again for sure." However, Princess Kitty became nervous.
"I don't know if your grandparents would ever welcome me,"
she said. "You leave everything to me," Grandpa Jack said. "In the morning, I think I can reason with them. My grandchildren will help me too, since they know you more. Won't they be surprised when we tell them about your adventure in Bomvaria?" As soon as the Pratchetts exited the cat bus, on the roof of their house, they saw two familiar people. It was King Cat and Queen Feline of KAWAII Wonderland. "Well, if it isn't you two again," Grandpa Jack said, kneeling politely. "Your Majesty." "Why, of course we remember you, dear Jack," King Cat said. "I even remember you dancing with my queen. We hope our daughter brings joyousness to you and your grandchildren when she helps you rescue them and the others in Bomvaria." "She sure did, Your Majesty. Will I ever be able to thank her enough?" The royal family leaps from atop the roof and lands in front of the Pratchetts. "We're glad to hear it," Queen Feline said. "But now we came to your home, for we have a certain task for our daughter." "What do you mean?" Todd asked. "We were thinking, if your grandfather acts like a child inside and make friends with her, there may be other grown-ups like him in your city who can do just that. Which is why our daughter will leave you, Pratchetts, to find other grown-ups in your city, and make friends out of them," King Cat said. "Of course, it was my intention." "Your intention?" Grandpa Jack asked. "Our daughter will stop at nothing to be welcomed to your city by any means necessary," Queen Feline said. "An expedition is considered the appropriate action." "But for how long?" Todd asked in concern. "For 3 weeks," King Cat said. "She will leave immediately." "Now wait a minute," Grandpa Jack said, waving his hands. "Immediately? She can't leave yet. Can't you just let her meet our family first before she goes?" King Cat shook his head. "Now is not the time, sir. I'm sorry." "At least let my grandchildren say goodbye to her," Grandpa Jack said. "Please." "It will not last," Queen Feline said, and points at the horizon, while the sun begins to rise. She'll leave when the sun rises. I see that. But even I think it's hard for them to say goodbye. Then say goodbye to her. He did just that. Goodbye, Kitty. May we see one another again. And once again, thank you for everything. As Grandpa Jack heads inside, King Cat said to the children, "Seeing that we're not needed anymore, we might as well be heading back too. We'll take the cat bus." The conductors bowed. "I wouldn't dream of it, Your Majesty. The best there is, the best road to progress is Freedom's Road." "I'm okay with it," the engineer said, "as long as we don't worry about things like that again." "I think you'll be mistaken, darling. I can promise you that." "Remember, children, our daughter won't be seeing you two again for 3 weeks by the time our expedition begins," King Cat said. "You don't have to feel sad," Queen Feline said. "During the time, we hope you have preparations of your own." "We do," Todd said. "It's coincidental because we'll be on summer vacation when the fair opens." Princess Kitty remembers something about the fair.
"There's that dirigible you'll be flying in, is that right?"
"Correct," Todd said. "And I hope we see you soon." King Cat and Queen Feline boards the cat bus, calling out, "Owakare, Pratchett's, and may our daughter continue to bring joyousness to you both after 3 weeks without her." The destination sign on the cat bus read, "KAWAII Wonderland." With a roar, the cat bus heads off and out of sight as the sun rises. The children head inside the house and into their room with Princess Kitty. "Are there ever going to be adventures like this one?" Todd asked.
"That depends if I could have another one with you two. That must be believed to be seen. But now, you rather see the sunrise in my eyes."
Princess Kitty smiled.
"What an adventure this has been. After all, that makes you two the luckiest children of Kadono to have a princess like me. But none of the people didn't know that yet. Only fate will let you know now. If only I make myself known."
He softly gasped as he saw her body became translucent.
"I know you're sad to watch me go," she went on. "Everything will be fine."
"You sure?" Audrey asked. "Promise that you won't forget us?"
"Oh, Pratchett's,"
Princess Kitty said.
"How could I ever forget you both? Golden times roll across my mind and then fly away into the night. New days gone, and I see it won't. I will remember you looking away from it all. How can I ever forget you both? Oh, but children, how you two will be too impatient after a few days."
Audrey moved closer to touch her, but her hand just went through the princess's body. Todd moved his sister back. "I'm certain that we'll wait that long," he said.
"I'm sure you will, Todd,"
Princess Kitty smiled.
"Owakare. And now that I'm glad once again that I met you two."
"We do, Kitty. And we hope you have a pleasant expedition. And after 3 weeks, when you have enough friends, especially grown-up friends, we hope you feel right at home in Kadono, just like you wanted."
"I know I will, Pratchett's."
Just as soon as sunlight poured into the bedroom and washes her body, she was gone. Mr. Pratchett calls out, "Todd? Audrey?" As soon as Mr. and Mrs. Pratchett went into the room, their children cry out, "Mom! Dad!" They ran and embraced their parents. "Children, not so loud," Mrs. Pratchett said. "You'll wake up your grandparents." "Did you miss us?" Todd asked. "Miss you?" Mrs. Pratchett asked in confusion. "What are you talking about? We met Kitty days ago. Oh, if you only knew the adventure we had with her and Grandpa joining us. And speaking of him, he can go anywhere after being in our home for 20 years. Anyway, she took us on a ride in this cat bus with the conductress and engineer to Bavaria, where life is miserable. After having to endure hard times at the workhouse, we and the other children are invited to the castle, home of Baron von Bratwurst. Little did we know The sweets we eat at the castle turn us into pigs, and we thought we would get cured for pork. Now, Tot. Oh, Mother, please let me finish. We thought we were goners, but Kitty and Grandpa saved us with help from the cat bus. After defeating the Baron and his men, she rescues the other children, and we head back home. As pigs, we were fed snozberries, and we're back to our normal selves. When we head to an orphanage, she turns the rest back to normal. The cat bus dropped them off at the orphanage before heading back home. We've never been this happier despite being in distress. We have no idea what you're talking about, Mrs. Pratchett said. What day is it? Audrey asked. It's Monday, Mr. Pratchett said. That means we've been gone for the weekend, Tot cried. Did you ever miss us? Maybe you two just had a bad dream, Mrs. Pratchett said. You must get ready for school. You believed me, didn't you, Father? Tot asked. I don't know, Mr. Pratchett said. But what about this Princess Kitty? Remember what we discussed the other night? She told us that she'll come back in 3 weeks, Tot said, his head lowered. I wish you could see her before she left. Maybe you can see her in your dreams, Mr. Pratchett said. Dear, Mrs. Pratchett said. You get breakfast ready for the grandparents, love, Mr. Pratchett said. We'll talk later. As his wife leaves to make oatmeal slop downstairs, he said, I hope this Princess Kitty shows up at the fair in 3 weeks. I hope so too, Dad, Tot cried. After all, she must be believed to be seen. Mr. Pratchett kissed his wife on the lips before leaving for work. He gets his bike out from the backyard shed and heads out from the driveway. But he gasped at the sight of Constance Malchance's ruined jalopy and the big gash on the fence. Sensing that something is wrong, he rushes over to the other side of the road. He got off his bicycle and pounded on the door to see if she's home. From behind the door, there was a terrible shriek. Get away! Mrs. Malchance, it's me, he said. Open the door! Constance opened the door, and he gasped. He could see that her hair has become ragged and white from shock. Something did happen to her. Poor Constance had to stay alert all weekend to see if the creature is still there. Thank goodness it's not here anymore, she moaned. What's not here anymore? He asked. What happened to you? That horrible cat monster! A cat monster? Here? I find it unlikely. My wife and I just slept through Saturday night, though I thought it was the noise of raccoons raiding someone's trash when it woke me up. How did your car get wrecked? And your fence, too? I was awakened by a loud noise, she explained. I grabbed my rifle and head out in a rage. When I head out and look up on the roof, there was the monster, staring at me with his huge yellow eyes. When I shot him, it won't work. So I ran and tried to get to the police station by driving my car there, only to stall on me. The monster flipped it over and wrecked it, but that's not the worst part. He ate my dog! I managed to escape and wait for morning, but I never leave the house knowing that it's still out there. And you stayed up all Saturday night? He asked. You didn't even leave the house? I have to! I fear it may still be out there. It wasn't my fault that I didn't get any sleep. He wasn't paying attention to her. He inspects her jalopy all torn up. What got his attention are large several cat hairs, longer as thread, on the ruined undercarriage. Whatever it is, I'm glad she got what's coming to her, he thought. Now that you're here, I would like you to drop me off at the police station so I can get any division involved, she said. We must find that monster, then destroy it before it destroys anything else. Why don't I just drop on by and report them about your abuse on my children last Friday, he snapped. I'm sure they would like to hear that. He wanted to stand up to her for a long time. After what happened last Friday, forcing his children to grow up, enough is enough. Those brats deserved what they got, she shouted. Her fear immediately altered into anger. Of course, Mr. Pratchett glares angrily at her, shutting her up. It's about time karma came to you, you devil woman! What are you saying? You dare interrogate me? Yes, he said. Remember the little girl with pink hair and matching eyes? My children told me the truth last Friday night. It turns out to be her disguise. She's really a girl with pink hair, cat ears, and a tail. Her name is Princess Kitty. She did this to you. That cursed brat from Koriko, she demanded. If I ever see that juvenile again, something in the wind told me not to care about you anymore. Oh, really? She sneered. What about your bad children? My pronouncement still stands. Your pronouncement means nothing, Constance. They don't have to start renouncing their fun after all. Last Friday night, Todd states that they should start now by tearing down their drawings, and they were going to throw them out the window. But I had to stop him. Well, he should have. Because of you. The way Todd acts his way is because of you. I want them to throw away their toys and their fun. Anything that makes them act irresponsibly, because it's time for them to grow up. If they don't, then I will. I'm not that heartless, though you and your children apparently think otherwise. More than heartless, he said. You're a disgrace to me and my family. You may get what's coming to you already, but karma is never done with you yet. You stay away from my children, Constance. You have no power over them. I don't ever want you to mistreat them this way ever again, because I have had it. Now, thanks to you, you're going to make me late for work. He rides away to work on his bicycle, leaving her embarrassed and hurt. This isn't over, Pratchett! She screamed. You'll be hearing it from the police. I'm blaming what has happened to me on your brats anyway. You hear me? You go ahead. You just ignore me all you want. And I'll make sure you regret it every day for the rest of your life. He ignored her and kept going without a single glance. He knew that none of the police would believe her. Indeed, who would? That's because on the top of the Pratchett house, unaware to the both of them, the cat bus conductress has overheard their argument. We'll see about that, devil woman, she purred. Mrs. Pratchett was pouring oatmeal slop on 4 bowls for the 4 old grandparents. Picking up a wooden tray, she calls out from the kitchen, Pratchett's! Breakfast is ready! Oatmeal slop! Grandpa David is already impatient about his breakfast. Well, it's about time! I've been starving since I woke up this morning. Oh, shut up, you big baby! Grandma Eliza barked. We have to wait until my daughter gets here. Now be patient. When Grandpa Jack saw Todd and Audrey arrive at the living room, he smiled. Hey, children, he said. Sleep well? I thought that since you're up in that room for days, I get the feeling that you're still moping. But we're better now, Todd said. And we saw Princess Kitty, Audrey squeaked. That little girl we've heard of from your mother? The little girl from your dream? Grandma Eileen moaned. You two and your overactive imaginations. My son is fixated because of you two. Hey, be nice, Eileen, Grandpa Jack said. As for you two, what is she like? Todd and Audrey paused. They were wondering, despite him joining them, if he too didn't believe their adventure. You don't remember what she looks like, do you? Todd asked. I remember all right, Grandpa Jack said. Your father told me about her. Despite his obsession over her, I find her cute. When will I see her? In about 3 weeks, Audrey said. Then remind me if you see her again. He winked at the children. Maybe he believed in the children's adventure with Princess Kitty after all. Off to school, are you? You bet, Todd said. Okay, but stay away from your neighbor when you come back. You two don't want to make her really angry and ending up in big trouble again after what happened last Friday. We won't, the children cried and ran out the front door. As they make their way towards the city, where the tall buildings draw them in like moths, Audrey was concerned about Princess Kitty after she left. Do you think Kitty will be fine in Kadono for 3 weeks? She asked. It's really huge after all, with so many places she could go. Her brother smiled. I think she can take care of herself. I guarantee it. As they venture off into the midst of the city, it's as if the tall buildings call out to them. If that is possible, they would say something like this. Welcome to the city of Kadono. Kadono welcomes you. We hope you never leave.